All right. Hello, welcome to Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotraStream. I'm Lotra's community manager, Cordovan, and today we're going to be doing some more questing in Corsairs of Umbar. We're working through the story of the Song of Waves and Wind. We're around chapter 2.7 at this point in the stream, and we got some gameplay to do, so we're going to try to get some of that done here today. But this next week is actually going to be really busy in the Lord of the Rings Online, so I got some news that I'm going to take the first section of the show about and show you here today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really appreciate it. I've been looking at chat as I was getting ready for the show today, and I could have sworn there, dude, that you were on my extra life list. So you're saying you have to wait till the holidays for the expansion, but who knows? Maybe you're going to win one of the 3 extra life Corsairs of Umbar expansions, which I'm going to be picking in the next 24 hours. So I had said through November 30th, and that's happened. So today I've got the live streams, I got some work to do for the release notes, a whole bunch of things I'm going to talk to you a little bit about here that's going to take up some of my time. But one of the things I'm going to be doing tonight, maybe tomorrow morning, we'll just kind of see. I've got some catch up to do that I'll talk about in a little bit related to Extra Life. I'm going to draw all the winners for the group incentives. I said through November 30th, and technically I ended up getting about 27. I got like 27 surveys overnight, which is great. I'm really glad you got in touch with me, but all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second. I suppose I should probably include them, should I not? And that's going to take about an hour or so. So I'm not sure I'm going to get to the actual drawing part of the drawing here tonight. But it's going to be in the next 24 hours or so. I'll be sending out the emails to all the folks. Maybe you'll get a Lotra Points code. Maybe you'll be one of the 3 folks who are getting one of the Corsairs of Umbar expansions. Maybe you won't get anything. I try to spread it out pretty good, but we had hundreds. I mean, just on the Lotra side here now, I've got 527-ish individual donors, and then that's the combined with the other game. Then now we've got quite a bit more as well. So it was a huge undertaking to actually get everything back to everyone, but it's done for the most part. On, I guess it was Tuesday of this week, I got through the full list, and everyone that had gotten back to me had gotten all their incentives, with the exception of about 4 or 5 people that I talked about in a forum post where I just wasn't able to get back in touch with you. Either the email kicked back, or the name didn't resolve anything on the forums, or something like that. But almost everybody, there was really only 4 or 5 people throughout both games that I couldn't get in touch with, got their stuff. But then, of course, on Tuesday night when I did that, a whole bunch of people were like, oh, I forgot to send that in. And you had through November 30th to get in on the surveys to do the group incentive drawing. So I got a whole bunch, like I said, overnight. And that's cool. That's fine. I'll work through that list first. Make sure you're added to the kind of the master list that I'm going to be drawing names from. And then I'll be getting back in touch with everyone over the next, let's say 48 hours, because I might do the drawing tomorrow morning sometime, and then I'll send out the emails throughout the morning and afternoon tomorrow. So that'll be going pretty cool. It honestly, Folgers, I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot of typing. I every year I get better at it. I make it more efficient, less time consuming to do, and that was the case this year. These Survey Monkey surveys and that went really great. Almost everyone gave me a real easy way to contact them, and it was done. But it was still a lot that I think I could probably solve with some kind of modern day tech mail merge or something like that. But I don't know much about mail merges. I merge my mail by putting it into the mailbox. That's what I know. But I don't know how to do that. But I have a feeling if I could figure that part out, I could probably do a lot of the pull from spreadsheets bit of work in like one big go. And that should make it quite a bit easier, I think. I'll have to talk to someone who knows more about these kind of things in the office about it. So, what if you already have Corsairs and you're one of the 3 winners? Well, do you have a friend you can give it to? family member? Can you make a friend with the promise of a free Corsairs of Umbar Ultimate Edition code? Perhaps you could just give it away. But if you win it and you're like, hey, I already got it, can you give it to someone else? Sure, I'll give it to someone else then instead. So, this is part of the Extra Life group incentive. The Extra Life charity drive that we just wrapped up. Although you can still donate through the end of the year. You won't get in on these drawings though. I gotta cut it off sometime. And you can find out more at extra-life.org/team/Standing Stone Games. Yes, I did have a good Thanksgiving. Thank you. Speaking of programming notes, because I was off last week, I believe it was, or maybe the week before, something like that, whatever day it is, I'm not going to have a show next week. There won't be a broadcast next Friday because I'm going to be traveling. And I can talk a little bit more about that in just a minute. But first, let's get to some actual news of import to everyone. There we go. I got up the release notes. There we are. There's our release notes. I have not locked up the computer. Through the magic of editing, I'll probably try to put the video on YouTube where no one's going to know anything happened. Man, you should have been there. All right, let's look at our update 38.1 release notes. This is set for release next Wednesday. The main thing it's going to have is more questing at the Hunter's Expedition Camp. So if you have Corsairs of Umbar, this is going to be available to you. You'll be able to find the Hunter's Expedition Camp to the southeast of the city of Umbar to get started. And you can head to the Bloody Eagle Tavern to complete 10 new missions from Umbari Mission Givers, taking place in the Cape of Umbar and the Shield Isles. They're going to award allegiance tokens for both the Order of the Eagle and the Ledger Keepers, as well as modest gifts of Uri to level up your preferred allegiance. King's Gondor, City of Umbar, Ledger Keeper, Order of the Eagle, and Delving Quartermasters have been added to the Tavern of the Eagle. We got a Tome of the Tidal Dune Lurker cosmetic pet. Try to say that one fast. Barterable from the Order of the Eagle Allegiance Quartermaster. We got an Umbari Horn, travel skills to the Bloody Eagle Tavern, you can barter. Delving supported in 9 of the 10 new missions. There's one, the Ill-Fated Cave, that doesn't support delvings because no combat kind of at all. Delving rewards have been updated and will now award most of their usual loot at level 150. Now this is actually kind of a pretty significant change on the design side. It was our intention when we originally conceived of delvings and their rewards that the rewards were not going to be updated until tier 3 of the raid was released to offer an alternate path to acquire somewhat raid comparable gear. But when we released Corsairs of Umbar here, it became very clear based on community feedback that you want sort of interstitial delving rewards with a level cap increase like this. So when we went to 150 in Corsairs of Umbar, the intention was always to have the loot go on what we said it was going to do, which was, you know, be released with the raid afterwards. But there's a real desire on the part of the community for us to change that and do something different. So we're gonna. What we're gonna do instead, essentially, is have, you know, level cap loot equivalent stuff that you can see. And then when the tier 3 raid releases, we'll be able to offer maybe that additional bump up that was the intention of sort of that reward system there. So, you know, that means you're not going to hopefully get stuff that's better than the raid gear you're going to eventually get, but you'll have things that'll help assist you as you go between perhaps 140 and 150. All right. Do I need a new PC? Yes. I'd love a new PC. Now, the one I've got is okay. It's still pretty modern and up to date. It's just got a few bits that are not. So, anyway, that's the big exciting news really from that about delvings. But the other bit is that Yuletide kicks off next week, and we've got Yuletide Hobbit gifts coming back, in addition to new rewards from for Yuletide. So during the Yule season, some Hobbit gifts will come with bonus Yule gifts. These include new cosmetic pets and housing decorations. Another bit of feedback we've heard from you that we're going to be doing is removing dwarf candles from Hobbit gifts. I know there's a few people out there. There's been a thread, I guess it was in the last couple of months or so, where people were talking about this subject, how we're getting too many of them. I just don't want to see any more dwarf candles and Hobbit gifts. But then we also had a few people who were like, no, I like to use them for events and what have you. So we're going to hopefully make everyone happy and remove them from Hobbit gifts, but make them available to barter during Yule, Spring, Farmer's Fair, and Harvest Math. And you can just barter them. Get as many of them as you want. The amount of Virtue XP granted by Gold Hobbit gifts has been significantly increased. The minimum amount of Virtue XP granted by Silver Hobbit gifts. Sorry, I still see presents in there. I'm trying to take care of this. Finally get our terminology in line. Has been increased. And then we have some other things as well in update 38.1. Again, this is set tentatively for release next Wednesday. There's always a possibility something could happen between now and, say, Tuesday afternoon when we would announce the downtime and release notes. But otherwise, we're largely set for next week. We got a bunch of stuff in there, so I'd be surprised if it moved very much. We're adding superior crafting effects to the Umbari Forge, Oven, Workbench, and Study housing decorations. The Umbari Oven is also getting the Campfire effect. King's Gondor faction will now barter an Umbari battle-cooked food recipe along with existing trail food recipes. The housing decoration Yule Tree. This is one in the Lotro stores being renamed to Snowy... Actually, no. The Yule Tree in-game is being renamed to the Snowy Pine Tree, which is what we were calling it in the Lotro store, to be more descriptive and less confusing. They're the same item. And when they debuted back in the day, it's a snowy pine tree. And you could probably find old forum threads from whenever this debuted where people are like, it looks like a snowy pine tree more than like a holiday themed specific tree. And so when it went into the Lotro store, it was like, well, let's just call it what it is, which is that it's a snowy pine tree, maybe a little less holiday themed. And but then there's been some confusion over the years because people will barter for the Yule Tree and then be like, well, I don't have the snowy pine tree, but they actually do because they bartered for the Yule Tree. So we're finally taking care of it and renaming the Yule Tree to the Snowy Pine Tree. So if you were angry about it back in, let's say, 2012 on the forums, we finally heard you. The crafted large Umbari dining table decoration will no longer bind and acquire. We have some more seed appearance traits which change color with the tail and mane to no longer incorrectly indicate that they can be dyed. You can see that list next week, or read it now. The hooded mantle of winter drifts will display correctly on male humans, river hobbits, and Bjorning. Sources of legendary item traceries, tokens, and runes, which scale to your player's level, should now give Umbari tier items for players level 141 to 150. So basically, this is what we were talking about in our known issues and things like that, but you're going to get better legendary item traceries. Crab legs will now drop much more frequently from crabs throughout Gondor, Shield Isles, and Umbar. I'm sorry. They can have them. They can keep them. The Conquest of Gorgoroth Quartermaster now barters Mariner traceries, and the Forest Elk skill-granting item icon has been updated. We have a whole bunch of things that are in the Quest and Adventure areas section, including I should also mention if you see any typos. This is obviously from a document, not the final publish, so all these notes are subject to change. But this is roughly what we think is in the patch as of this Friday. Abundant Cranebill can now be found in Dol Amroth, Lon Syrian, Halrex, and Umbar Baharbil. The task boards can now be found in most towns in Western King's Gondor and Outer Gondor. We have a fix to a boss and trouble in the High Crag. Some of the trolls patrolling the landscape in War of Three Peaks were scaled up too much. They're back down now. Fix an issue with a monster, Jareth, in the Cape of Umbar that was able to attack players while invisible. There's a forum thread on that as well. That one's getting fixed. Working on some housing item day file things for Umbar Shield Isles. We're fixing the label, especially on the Houses of Healing in High Hall and Minas Tirith Midsummer. There's a bunch of kind of smaller things that I guess maybe isn't worth reading out loud here today. Got rid of the Fog of War from Farouk Zahar Interiors. Did a bunch of just general kind of landscape polish and resource node tweaking and grounding things, as they say. The Proto Crab of Bel Inzul was moved off the beach to remove the danger of aggravating the beastly crab while hunting for normal crabs along the shore. This is kind of a quest polish thing, really, landscape quest polish issue. Additionally, the Proto Crab got a size upgrade. Open tapping is being fixed in the Bel Inzul Proto Salamander bounty as well. Anyamat and Yamat can now be summoned during the final objective of the quest, the Would-Be Shantyman. Sandstorms now attack right. Doors are better closed than in Umbar. The Houses of Lamentation will now reward random legendary traceries when completed on higher tiers. Same with Halls of Blacklore. Featured instances completed at level 150 will now have a chance to drop incomparable and legendary traceries. We're upping it from rare and incomparable. Feature instances requiring 12 players, completed at 150, will now always reward a random legendary tracery. That's kind of hot. Got a bunch of class polish, not a lot, but a little bit. Working on a rallying cry issue with Captain, increasing the hot on it slightly. Mariner Fire Hot is now correctly benefiting from bonuses to 4. Is that supposed to be 4 skills? Is that really right? 4 skills damage? Maybe I'll check the spelling on that. Battle Dress of the Hardy Caller now correctly reduces the cooldown of Guided by the Stars. Minstrel, Song of Aid, healing over time is going up a bit. Warden, power restored by the Dark before the Dawn Gambit's going up. Same with the trait Muscle Memory. On the PvMP side, Ettenmoor's Hope tokens are going to be properly consumed when used. Smell the Roses, no longer able to be used in Ettenmoor's. Most MP stats increased from 505 to 515 equivalent. Some trait values not correctly updated in the U38 are now correctly updated. Freep Ettenmoor's Morale Malt from Audacity reduced from 50 to 45%. Monster players can again find greater sigils of battle, rarely in Steelbound loot boxes. Crafting resource nodes found in the Ettenmoors now have Umbari tier materials. And then we got a few miscellaneous bits here as well. We're up in the Allegiance rank to 20, allowing for further advancement along the Allegiance track. We've added a failure condition to Combe Forester event to fix the sort of exploit that was happening that forced us to shut it down last time. People can no longer skip the line in terms of winning. You will be disqualified. The Enchanted Vessel cosmetic pet appearance has been restored. Lindleby and Lindleby homesteads added to Wells of Langflood map. Descriptions for the benefits provided by each class by the will stat have been corrected. Fixing the shoe emote icon, and a few other bits as well. So that's what we got for the update 38.1 release notes. Before I go in game, I guess I would go through just a little bit of other news because we do have some. I did mention the Yuletide Festival kicks off next week. That starts, go looking at my calendar, 10 a.m. on the 7th, and it runs until 3 a.m. on January 3rd. So through January 2nd will be the messaging for the Yuletide Festival, and that kicks off next Thursday at 10 a.m. We do have Hobnanigans going on this weekend. Other bits of note on the calendar in terms of news is next Wednesday with the update as well. I suppose I should probably add that to the release notes, frankly. Treebeard is going up with a level cap of 95. They're hitting Helm's Deep. That's visible, has been for a while on the public event schedule. But that'll be happening. So Treebeard level cap 95 next week as well. I do have a list of the 2023 Yuletide Festival rewards, but I think I'm going to keep some of it under wraps for marketing reasons. But we do have a bunch of a cosmetic outfit, cloak, hooded cloak, boots, mittens, hat, coat, garments, so the selection box. We've got steed and war steed appearances, comparison headpiece saddle. We have a should I mention this? It's called the Tome of the Icy Expeditions Sheep. That'll be available as well. The Yule Festival barter is what I see. Wintry Lantern Post, Wintry Yule Wall Banner. The Festivity Barter will have a wintry outdoor fire pit. And then the Yule Hobbit Presents has got some tapestries, see a table, bed, Midsummer Wreath selection box, Tome of the Forest Aurochs, Wintry Sconce, large decorative vase, Tome of the Wild Cinnamon Donkey, Tome of the Prepared Corgi. Quick note on Storvagon. It's going to be the same as last year. So basically a repeat of what it's been, but it will have an updated progression eye level as well on Storvagon. What else should I mention? We do tentatively have the Combe Forester event set to arrive not next week, but the week after. I'll have more information about that once I really lock it all down and get that done. And I think that's where we're at. So let's head in game, shall we? And actually get some gameplay here today. There we are. I'm live. Peeps can see me. There we are. Let me go and quick go through chat while we're getting ready here then as well. So let me just do that real quick. You're thinking about moving to Iowa or Minnesota. Well, I have lived in both of those places. Either will be fine. I'm a Minnesota boy myself. All right. I see myself now. What do I got? It's true. The release notes were so powerful they just kind of shut the stream down. Do I use water or milk for my hot chocolate? Depends. If it's coming from a packet, hot water is fine. Otherwise, milk and, like, chocolate syrup. Any change to the crafting scrolls from the reward track as they are still at Gundabad level when opened on a character at level 150? No. I have not heard of any changes to that. Oh, yes. So Broken Shield wants to know what happened to the crafting, Umbari crafting guilds that was originally planned for 38.1 here next week. We're moving it out to the next update. It's almost there, but it's literally today in the middle of still kind of testing and polish. So it just isn't ready yet. It's almost ready. Like, the vast majority of the work is done, and at this point it's, we're testing out the systems, figuring out what's working, what needs to be fixed up and such yet, and I'm going back and forth on that. So it just isn't yet quite ready for Wednesday. And we wanted to get all this other stuff out, and so we didn't want to hold up the patch for it. And so we're going to put it out next week. Or not next week, but the next patch. I'm not actually sure when that is set for at this time. I think it'll be before the end of the year, though. but I could even be wrong about that. We'll see. I will let you know. Will there be new Yule cosmetics this year? Yes. I'm also not sure on when the 4th crafting slot will arrive. I know that Orion has been doing a lot of work this, since Corsair's release to kind of plan and get a lot of this stuff sorted out, but I don't really know what the current status of it is. So perhaps sometime soon he'll be able to offer an update as kind of what the plans are for crafting. Will we ever see the Rakish and the Homesteads packs in the store again? These were supporter packs that we put available for purchase. You missed out on one of them. You know what's funny is we actually had a conversation about that very subject yesterday. We're doing work for our 2024 planning for all the games. And, we were like, well, we've always said we were going to bring them back at some point. They weren't necessarily one-time only purchases, right? So when do we want to do that? And so the idea of us doing that at some point in the future does seem fairly likely. I can't comment as to whether it would be in 2024 necessarily, but there's a chance of it. And at the very least, there will come a time, yes, we will be bringing back some of these various coffer offers to buy again. I have not heard of plans to extend the Yuletide Festival, though it's a pretty long event, though. You should have plenty of time to get your stuff, I would think. Minnesota, home of Mystery Science Theater 3000 and the Cord family. Well, not these days, of course, but yes, historically that's where we're largely located. I used to watch MST3K back when it was on channel 59 on the UHF side. Will we ever see weapon auras working for instruments? That's a very good question. I have not done enough research to really be able to answer that question, but it's an interesting idea to somehow be able to make it work for your instruments. A wardrobe item carry-all. So you're just talking about a cosmetics carry-all, rather than, say, using the wardrobe. Like you're already full up on your wardrobe, and you just want more, and so you want a wardrobe kind of overflow carry-all. Is that what you're talking about? By the way, Minnesotans, if you ever listen to old WCCO radio, they're still around, still a big deal. There's a DJ there named Adam Carter. He's been there working there for many years on CCO. If you ever get a chance to meet this guy, tell him Jerry says hi. We used to work together back in the day. So, all right, let's get to the actual news then. Or the actual gameplay then. So we're currently guests in Farouk Zahar. They've been not being entirely frank with us about what's been going on in the area, and we're trying to figure it out. So we have let me turn up my audio. Sorry, I turned it down so it wasn't coming through on stream. Always forget to turn it back up. There we go.
We have no choice now, my friends. We should get as much rest as we are able.
Whatever Hamisar thinks to keep from us, whether it's the continued presence of Koltek the Cunning in Farouk Zahar or something else, we cannot reveal it if he chooses to keep it hidden. We're going to leave. So, Mystic 83, the timing of the instances and raids is as was previously stated, so it'll be next year, and whatever we said in that forum thread there.
It is time for us to take our leave, Hamisar of Farouk Zahar. We thank you for your gracious hospitality.
I share your hope for the future, King Elisar of Gondor.
As you return to your kingdom and continue to journey, I let caution guide your steps. There are snakes in the grass everywhere. Indeed, even some dwarves may hold treachery and give voice to things they ought not. I had to send one such troublemaker from Farouk Zahar this very morning. The Longbeard Gangur of Farwind is no longer welcome. It's different for you and your companions, King Elisar. You, of course, are welcome to come back anytime, buddy. But remember what I said. Beware of snakes in the grass, for they are more likely to strike when you expect it not. I think he's giving us a warning.
Fear not, Hamissar. I will remember.
He's like,
your
I
word.
can't tell you a thing, but I just need to tell you a thing. So let's just not tell you the thing that I'm telling you. Oh, thank you. I try to be fun. I try to come up with good YouTube titles of the shows when I can. Whenever something hits me, it's just like, oh yeah, that's the one. Every now and then, it turns out pretty good. All right. Well, we have got, while we're on a load screen here, we have got a Lizzie visit because she wants me to, I don't know what she wants. She wants something. She probably doesn't want to be on camera, but when has that stopped me? Here we are. There we go. Meowing into the mic. What do you want? What do you want there? You want to talk to the audience? Yeah. This isn't what I wanted at all. All right. It's like it's sunny. It's nicer than it was all week long. Why are you sitting here and not taking me out? Take me out. Me out. Me out. That's what she says. She is a talker when she wants to go outside. All right. Well, she's just going to be here, so I think let's get some questing in while we can. Yeah, it's beautiful out today. It really is. So I guess this isn't like official news or anything, but I wanted to just kind of let people know that I myself am going to be pretty spotty. Is she gonna? She might actually put her face in the camera. Let's see if she will. She wants to get up on my desk. Yep, here we go. Is she going to show you her butt? Let's see. All right. Where am I headed? I am headed all the way to Ost-Engelbit. All right.
I am at your service.
So, I would just mention that next week, me and some other folks, there's only a couple of us, but we're traveling to California. We're going to be visiting with Daybreak to do some 2024 planning on the marketing and community side. We've got some kind of exciting things that might be happening, not just for Lotro and DDO, but, perhaps a little wider in scope as well. And so we're going to be having a few meetings just kind of talking about some of the 2024 planning and what have you. But while I'm out there, I'm still going to be doing all the regular stuff I need to do, which is update 38.1, Extra Life, the start of the Yuletide Festival, start of Treebeard, etc., sales on Thursday and what have you. And we might have something of interest that we'll be talking about next week related to, speaking of things like patrons' coffers and such. So, we have quite a few things, but some of the timing might be a little off. So if you're used to seeing, like, say, me posting a sale at a normal time and it's at a weird time next week, that's why. That's why. It's because I'm doing it kind of between meetings or at a hotel or something like that. So that's what's up. That's what's up for next week, and that's also why I'm not going to be able to do the show next Friday, because I'm going to be flying back from Yule, California, which is going to be a warmer, from what I hear. And isn't that's cool? I like warmer. How do I get where am I going? All right, I basically need to turn around. There we go. I think this is right? No. I'm in. Oh yeah, right. Okay. Gotta find my position. There we are. So, we returned, and now Glindor is quite upset.
Terrible. Just terrible.
Queen Arwen
is nowhere to be found.
Is nowhere to be found. Oh yeah, that's right, shields.
I beg you, ask around Ost-Anglabed and find the queen.
Ost-Anglabed. Anglabed. I suppose I should get the quest screen up, but, you know, cat face. What are you doing? Why are you staying? I can't see Twitch chat. You are literally sitting right next to, right in front of all my Twitch chat. Yeah. Yes. All right. Here's what I can do. Let's give ourselves a bit of a different cat cam there for a minute. There we are. I can't read Twitch chat because I've got a big cat butt in my face. Oh, she needs some help getting down. All right. There you go, buddy. There you are. All right. She wants me to take her outside, which I will do after the stream here, but I'm not taking you all on a walk with me outside. Although Lizzie would love that. She would be like, yeah, you can do that. You should totally do that. I have spoken up here, and none have seen the Queen. Perhaps you should search the lower part of the city. So it's going to be a pretty busy week next week, really all said and done. If you think about everything happening that I just mentioned on the Lotra side, and then we got things happening on the other game side and this trip and holidays and what have you. I'm glad I was able to get Extra Life done, though. Largely done. Like I say, I've got another batch of about 30 or so to get back to here in the next 24 hours. Then do the drawings, the giveaways. But, but it went really pretty well this year, all said and done. I'm pretty happy with how it all turned out, so. I'm sorry I can't help you.
Sorry, I cannot help you. This.
We only learned the Queen was missing when we returned from our walk. A faint blush colors her cheeks. Do you know, I think he might be... Okay, who's this? A Faydare? Presented me with the finest flowers he could find. While we were out, I did see someone wearing a cloak very similar to the Queen's, walking northwest of Ost-Anglabed, in the direction of the river. So let's head down to the river. I would love, I have to admit, one of my personal wishes as well really is that I would love for us to be able to offer physical merch. I know it's a sore topic. People are like, well, do it then. And if I could snap my fingers and make it happen, I swear I would. I promise. Unfortunately, it gets very complicated very quickly, and it is not something we have as yet been able to offer. But I'm always hopeful. I'm always hopeful that at some point someone's going to agree with me and be like, yeah, we'll make our money back. Yeah, it'll be cool. People will love it. It's totally worth the time and effort. But as of now, that has not been the case. So. And it's not just a matter of making it, that's the problem. It's all the... ultimately, regardless of what you want to do, you're going to have IP lawyers from multiple groups get together and work out legal structures and things like that. And that's ultimately the kind of thing when you're a larger company like that, you know, you have to prioritize and scope, and some things might be theoretically possible, but it's going to take a push to do that kind of thing. And some expense up front to get it all figured out. Maybe someday it'll happen, but as of yet, that process is sort of stuck in the wouldn't it be awesome phase. Might want to look away. My steed is going to practice acrobatics again. It's done great. Totally fine. So there are a few, I mean, you know, there's historically on Swag, as it were, we can make things for our own convention visits. You know, we do have the ability to promote our game through convention swag, things like that. But what we don't have is any sort of structure in place from which to deal with physical sales on a wider, more comprehensive way. And so some of the swag that does exist, like over the years, like this Loacher hoodie that was made for employees and given out at PAX, and gosh, was it all the way back in like 2012? Whenever that was. Long time ago. That's where that comes from. And we've been able to distribute, say, like some coffee mugs to streamers and that over the years. We did a thing, I remember, for the 10th anniversary. Related to that.
But I hope you will heed my words, Maiden of the Gilride, and trouble yourself not overmuch.
Queen Arwen did not want to burden Roaming Star with the tramping feet of my husband's entire retinue. There were things to be said in private, and I felt certain I could return before Ioreth finished her chattering. I saw her from afar, and it seemed she had only recently begun. Even from such a distance, I believe she might have become rather enamored of the groom who keeps the horses. So, basically, they had to go off in private.
Has shown me the kindness of the sort I had thought vanished from the world.
Generally related to sort of helping people deal with the aftermath of the war and grieving. We've seen Queen Arwen do some of this work already.
If I wore my ranger garb, you could have approached without making any noise.
But these garments are much less suited for walking in the woods. Arwen has spoken to me of her desire to meet the Maiden of the Gilrain, and I didn't wish to interrupt. But yo, you interrupted, so I need to talk to you, dude.
I have sent the rest of the traveling party on to Linhir, with instructions to aid the people there.
You report supporters of the Heirs of Castamere maintained a presence in Linhir. That's worrisome. Perhaps we can give the townfolk what they need, will reduce support. So I've told Kabir to make a list of notable tasks and meet up with, wants us to meet up with him and Lynn here and basically see what's up. Go do stuff. Rather than interrupting Arwen in her conversation, hanging out with other people, why don't you go do something? King Arwen is telling us. Okay. Someone's asking me what my personal Christmas wish list is this year. The answer is I don't really have one. I am quite well set. My life is going great. I got my health. I got my son. I have people in my life. Everything is going awesome. And I really don't need anything. So that's pretty alright. So I don't have much of my Christmas list. I actually had a couple things that were pretty hot that got released like around Black Friday and such. But I went and bought them for myself. So... But I think I've been baited into talking about retro game stuff enough on this stream that I will not annoy those who hate it when I do it by bringing up retro game stuff. But let's just say this was an awesome year. 2023, especially this latter half of it, is freaking fantastic if you love specific parts of the retro game world like I do. Record Store Day was pretty hot this year too. Is there a way to get the soundtrack of Lotro? So we have quite a bit of music that has been released over the years. Most of it not in an official capacity, or at least a physical capacity. But there is still stuff out there that I guess I'm not prepared to start listing links and what have you. But we have put out, back in the Warner Brothers days, there was, what, the Riders of Rohan and Siege of Mirkwood, I think, each got their own soundtrack releases. Is that right? Plus, there was one of the original box back in the day. We recently had that 10th anniversary one that we... I mean, not that recently anymore, but that was the most recent one, wasn't it? And that ended up on archive.org as just a freebie that anyone can download, if I recall. And there's been plenty of soundtrack releases on YouTube, so check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Lord of the Rings. There's also some unofficial stuff out there as well. It's true that we don't have our soundtrack music sort of officially cataloged and made available through places like Spotify. And again, it's similar in some ways to the physical swag question, where whether you want to or not, when you're going to be contributing this sort of stuff to, say, a Spotify, it needs to be licensed. All the IP rights holders need to sign off on it. If there's any sort of revenue that, or any money at all that's happening, like say due to Spotify listens, that either needs to be waived if you're not intending to take that money, or if you are intending to take that money, you've got to, like, say, split it amongst the IP holders in a documented way, which involves, say, lawyers dealing up contracts and things like that. You'd have things like BMI ASCAP licensing of the tracks, and there's a bunch of other things that are involved in sort of the official distribution of music on both digital and physical formats that poses challenges in a way that someone, hey, I'm a composer, I'm in a band, and I just want to make a bunch of CDs, doesn't necessarily have to deal with. So that's part of why it's not on Spotify in an official way. But there are some bits that are, in fact.
For I am at the end of my wits.
have gone through that process. At least old stuff back in the day, right? That's where those CDs, the old Mirkwood and stuff, are still kicking around on eBay and things. You should be able to find it. And all the new stuff is available on YouTube. And, you know, I'm no IP rights lawyer. I can't tell you what to do. But I don't think anyone's going to be bothered whatsoever if you find a way to pop it onto a CD or something for your own personal enjoyment. That's true, and Chance Thomas has some commercial available soundtracks. There is a 10th anniversary one. I was of the impression that that was all but sold out, however. I don't know that there is any of those physical CDs left available from Chance Thomas, but if there is, then you should definitely jump on those. They're fantastic. And if you're looking for Lotro music in like an actual commercial, it's all kosher kind of format. That's the way to do it. Bill and I have talked about how could we get our soundtracks up on like a SoundCloud or something like that. So those discussions, there have been some discussions over the years about what we could do, and you know, what if we did just sort of put it up on SoundCloud or something. Probably ran into with that specific outlet is there would be a cost associated with it, because there's a certain, like, we couldn't just do it for free, and that's ultimately why it ended up, that one soundtrack ended up on archive.org, is we weren't intending, we didn't want to take any money for it, and we didn't want to have to deal with having to bring in all the lawyers and everything, and so we're like, well, what if we just put it up on free on archive.org, and we were able to reach out to some of the people who would need to sign off on such an idea, and they signed off on it. So that was a bit of a specific one-off that we were able to make happen. But that is available and all official as well. You can pop it onto your MP3 player, record it onto your reel-to-reel. Etch it onto flexi disc. Forgot about that. I'm sorry that cracked me up, but that's now the second time it's made me laugh. It's like, you didn't want anything. Why are you talking to me? I'm just lonely. I feel sorry for the person. We'll totally hang out later. Alright. Here we go. I think most people who have been listening to me long enough know I'm a physical media nerd. I love my records. I even love my CDs. I still buy CDs. Not a lot. But when I'm buying new music, I am buying it on CD. I'm not downloading crap. And so I am fully 1000% on board with us doing like a CD physical release, and I would even be thrilled to be in charge of such a production. I just it's not the kind of thing that can be done easily or on a whim, so we'll see maybe someday, maybe. All right, well, we're at 1 o'clock here, so I think I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thanks so much for watching Court of the Rings on twitch.tv/LotroStream. This stream gets archived on YouTube afterwards, and I'll be back in 2 weeks with more. We should also have in 2 weeks, I believe, we're working on our next casual stroll with Scenario. That should be happening in... we were debating whether to do one in December, but I think we are. I think we're going to be stopping by Winterholm, and that should be within the next couple of weeks as well. So when next we talk, Yuletide will be underway, and a whole bunch of things will have already been released. So I will see you in 2 weeks with more. Thanks for watching. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.